Oh, you don't have to on that?
Just have to certify that they've been.
Just basically certify. All right, thank you. And adoption of agenda.
I'll move to adopt the agenda.
Thank you. We are, yep, okay. Yep. All right, we've just adopted the agenda, and I'd like to make a motion to adoption of the February 18th minutes.
I will make that a motion to adopt the February 18th minutes.
I'll second.
Motion by Andy Todd and seconded by Don. Number 5, museum reports.
Yes, finally, we, we have the website up and repopulated again. I had to totally redo it over the winter, and I just kind of kept at it, because I'm not a real, computer nerd. But I found if I spent like an hour and a half a day just loading things back on there and going through things, I'd get through it. So it's about 95% completed. So I don't know who I would talk to here at the courthouse, which department, so they can get it back up on the website.
I'm
again.
guessing it would be IT.
Okay. All right, well, I'll do
It's the
that.
WTCO website you're talking about, that one?
No, this is for the Trempealeau County Historical Society.
Oh, that
Yeah,
one, okay.
Yeah, it's the very same address and everything. It's still TrempealeauCountyHistory.org. It's just that now.
You just
it's-
revamped it, basically?
We changed the server. Now it's Squarespace instead of WordPress, which
Okay.
is much easier to contend with. Plus, the guy that was our web person, I'm not sure what to call them, manager. His wife died, and so he moved down to Janesville.
Oh,
And his health isn't good, and he said, maybe you should look into finding somebody else to take care of it. And so that's why we made the switch, but it's ready to go. And I guess the other thing is we have been pumping out the history videos from WTCO. It's been Mary C. Anderson when she has the time. And lately, we've had Jim Losinski from down Dodge Pine Creek area helping us. And Jim is just this little powerhouse, ex-Marine, and things get done right around Jim. He's great. He's really organized, where Mary and I, we just kind of fly by the seat of our pants, but. And we have a big one coming up now. It's called The Secrets of Wommandy. And that'll be fun. And I'm going to go down here in a little bit and work on that. So we've had some really interesting subjects, and we've gotten a lot of views on them, a lot of views. So people like history, and they love local history, because it's something that they can connect with. And we don't do just Trempealeau County. We also sneak over the border into Buffalo and Jackson sometimes, too.
they're border counties, basically.
Yes.
Who does the Facebook posts? Is that you?
Well, they don't have the Facebook page anymore. I have my own personal Facebook page.
Well, there's the Trempealeau County Historical Society
yeah,
Facebook
Yeah,
site
right.
or
but
page.
We have never put videos on there, just pictures,
Right, but do you do that?
when I have the time.
Okay.
Well, there's been a lot of posts lately on there, I think.
I'm the only one that can post unless there's a problem and somebody gets in there, That happens once in a while, but for the most part, it's pretty good. And I try to get a variety of things on there. So there's a lot of things that people like. They like those old pictures. They really enjoy that. Yeah. And sometimes people will send me pictures, but I have to know what the picture is. Don't just send me a picture, of somebody, some family or something, we kind of like to know who and approximately when and where. Otherwise, it doesn't, doesn't have a whole lot of meaning. Yeah.
This is you, right, that you're posting all of this stuff?
Yes, yep, that's Hawkinson, yeah.
Okay, because, it shows that it was posted 2 days ago, and you're making it sound like you never get out there, so I'm thinking you do.
Well, yeah, it's usually in the evening. If I've got the time, I'll sit there and get on there. and trying to put something on.
I was just noticing that you had posted a lot of the area schools.
Well, you know why? Because people love those old school pictures,
I
and because
know.
usually if the kids are all lined up, at least they're identified.
I was just
Whereas-
noticing that Sunnyside is like one of the few that hasn't been posted, and I might have to get you some pictures of that.
Oh, the one in
Over.
Blair?
Oh, yeah, mhm.
Yeah, I have, and I've got pictures of Sunnyside. I'll just have to put some more
My
on.
grandma taught there.
Oh, she did?
So that's why
Okay.
that's close to my
Yeah.
heart. Yeah.
It's confusing because there was a Sunnyside and a Sunny Slope and a Sunshine
Of course.
school all in the same county. Yeah.
Well, we're very sunny around here.
Yeah, we gotta keep that straight. And History Files program won an award of excellence at the media contest. And we're proud of that because it's not just Wisconsin community television stations. We go up against like Milwaukee and Chicago.
Eau Claire had one at one time, I don't know if they do anymore. So
I
you go up,
don't know, yeah.
you go up, yeah.
Well, we go up against some big studios
Yep.
that have, you know, a big budget and everything. So every time we win something, we feel like, yay.
I agree.
Yeah. But I do get a lot of help because, like I say, I'm not a real supercomputer person, but if I get a snag or something, Danny or Kevin are really good about helping me, and I appreciate that. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Okay. Thank you. Item 6A, monetary impact return of investment for UW Extension programming.
Right, so once again, we had decided every month to kind of feature something a little bit different, and so in your packets, you'll see that I put together just some talking points for you as people talk about the value of extension or the value of the dollar that Trempealeau County puts into extension. So if you look at that, you'll see on the top that your investment from the county for our office is about $230,000, which seems like a lot, but that includes Erica's salary, every piece of paper that comes to our office, phones, travel, everything. And so that's what your investment is from the county. And then the investment that Madison is putting in is about $315,000. So that's paying the difference in Andrea and Adam's salary, also paying for April, who isn't here today, but with the FoodWise program. Those are the monetary values they specifically put in. So that's kind of, you can see you're already getting at least a one plus for the money that you're putting in just with the salary for our staff that works here. And then if you look, Andrea and Adam pulled their volunteer hours, and so they're saying, whether that's legit or not, about $32 is what we're talking about for volunteer hours. So you can see the volunteer hours that we're putting in to the county are about $87,000 worth of work that people are doing within their communities that we're not having to pay somebody to do. So that's kind of exciting. And then just some other things that have specifically come into extension through the work of Adam and Andrea. Some different grants there, and then Adam was working with the Community of Independence to get their money to help. It was to build a building. Right, and so that's over $4 million that he helped to facilitate to get into that community. And there's lots of other ones too. This was kind of hard to pull the numbers because we probably didn't plan for this last year as we were thinking about this, but you can just see a very good return on investment. So as you're talking to other board members or as budgeting comes up, I think this is a good tool to have in your back pocket to show that your engagement and your investment in extension is definitely coming back to you in lots of different ways. And I put on the bottom too, like, I don't know the monetary value because it's hard to put into a number, but extension is also paying for all the professional development for all of the staff in our office, including Erica, who has the opportunity to go to a professional development next month, soon.
May 13th.
Okay, so next month. And then also all of the HR doing all the hiring and stuff for the people in our office. I think it's just really interesting to look at the fact that the monetary investment may seem like a lot at $230,000, but what the county's getting back is even bigger. So, and that's currently with only 2 staff. Just think when we're full staffed with 2 more people, I think that we can even add to that number in what we're doing. So at that point, any questions or comments people have, I'd love to.
Yeah, just to be clear, so we have budgeted coming out of our levy, $229,000
Correct. Yep.
And then UW Madison is investing $315,000. So that
In
makes.
salaries. Only. Yep.
Only in salaries?
Correct.
So then all of the rest of the funds is paying for the programming?
Correct.
So it's
yes.
not like we're getting reimbursed that 350, or the 315,000 is not offsetting the tax dollars that
No.
are spent?
So,
It's an
'cause-
addition for the program?
Correct, because you're paying about 42% of Andrea's salary, 42% of Adam's salary, and then when the new CDI agent comes on, you're paying about 23% of that salary, and with the ag agent, you're paying about less than 1/3 of half, so whatever that number is. So then Madison is playing the above and beyond, so they basically cover the additional 52% plus benefits, and so that's where that 315,000 comes in.
So then, but another way to look at that then is that your department's total dollars spent per year is 500,000 plus, right?
Plus, yes. However, that doesn't include professional development or HR.
Right,
So I
right,
mean,
right.
it's even bigger, but the only investment that you're putting in is that 229,000. Correct, yes.
Good to know, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's just interesting to know that. I think a lot of people often look at extension because we're maybe not one of those mandated offices, but really the things that we can do for you and the way that we can help to leverage dollars in the community are pretty astronomical, so. And like I said, this was only with 2 staff. Just think about what that number could look like when you add in an economic development person and a person that's going to look at the agriculture community, so.
Well, like I said, I can't speak, well, I could probably speak for the committee here, but I can't speak for the full county board. But I can speak for myself and the committee. We really appreciate your work.
They're doing good things here. It's exciting, so.
Okay, next, 6B, educator reports. I don't matter.
All right.
Either
then
way.
I will go first. So, I have quite a bit of really cool things coming up. Now I feel like I'm finally fully, some of you guys have been here when I was a multi-county educator. And I feel like now that I'm not covering support staff roles, doing ag, and still supporting the county I was previously in, I'm finally hitting my stride. So I've got a lot of really good programming coming up. So Clover College is coming up actually in not this next week. It's on the 26th of April. Oh my God, I was going to say May.
I'm apologizing for interrupting, but would you mind sharing your document
Oh,
on the screen? My computer is like defunct, and then Andy doesn't have to try to.
I'll just have to get the Zoom link from Danny. Actually, I think I might.
Oh,
have it.
never mind if it's going to be.
I can still talk about it while I work on it.
Okay.
I can multitask, Dawn.
If you want to, we can go to a different agenda item, then we could come back to you once you get that.
I can present all you.
Or she probably wants to see yours too. But we could potentially go to talking about the next meeting, the June, July meeting agenda item, because I think we don't need the board for that one. So if you want to work on, maybe then you could project Adams for him, unless you let me know when you find it. But if that's okay with you, Kevin.
It's fine.
Okay, great. So, once again, we did this whole thing where we're trying to do different meeting topics. And so I would like to suggest that we potentially move our August meeting to July, is it 31st?
Correct.
Yeah, so July 31st, Adam is doing Science Day, and we would like to invite the group to potentially come out to the Science Day and see what's going on, maybe
Where's that gonna be at? The Science Day here, or where's it gonna be at?
Yes.
All right, good
That
to know.
And it would be we'd invite you out for lunch where they're having pizza. And so we'd invite you out for lunch and just to kind of observe what's going on and potentially maybe even participate with the kids and do some of the different STEM things that they're working on. So it's a STEM camp, it's 3 days, and this is the 3rd day of the camp. And so I would just like to potentially put that up for action, that the committee look to meet. And the reason I picked the August meeting is April, I talked with April Duval yesterday, and she is able to come and do her FoodWise presentation in June. And she's kind of hard to pin down, so I would suggest that we do the FoodWise presentation in June and then potentially move the August meeting to be our hands-on
July 31st, you're saying,
at the
right?
table meeting, so,
You said July 31st?
yes.
Sounds,
8:30, same time?
Nope, it would be around lunchtime, because we would
Okay.
feed you. It could be a different time if you wanted to, but that was our goal, was to be able to feed you lunch.
ooh.
And the main thing too is Andrea and I will both probably be teaching during the sessions, and so lunchtime would be a time where we could give our report and then go back to teaching.
So, I mean, I think that's fine. Noon, are we saying then, or 11:30, or?
11, I would say probably.
11 you
11?
prefer?
11.
How does the committee feel about 11 a.m. at Petrick Park? All right,
I can
well,
make it happen.
I think you
Yep.
probably need a motion for that one to change a meeting.
I
okay.
so moved to change the meeting in August to July 31st at Petrick Park at 11 o'clock.
I will second that.
You probably need to vote then.
And then,
Make sure Andy's okay with it too.
well, that's what I was gonna say.
Say aye.
Aye, okay. Okay, that's, it has been officially changed.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. And that takes care of that agenda item, and Andrea got to get online so she can share a report with you now.
Perfect. So, so we have Clover College coming up. That, I feel like, is always a labor of love. I'll make it a little bit bigger so we can all see what I'm doing.
Beautiful, thank you.
So my cutoff date is tomorrow because I then take all the kids' names and I create their schedules, so it takes me a little bit to manipulate their stuff, but we currently have 19 kids enrolled, which is awesome. I always get very excited when we have any kids enrolled in Clover College, because when I started, it was then COVID, and we just couldn't, I don't know why, once in a while, programs just don't bounce back like they should, and this one I kept trying to do it in the fall, it didn't work. Last year I did it in the spring, and I had about 70 kids. Granted, we have to remember some of those were Jackson County kids, because I was still making sure that they had some programming in my absence. So I'm happy with 19. I think that that's a really good number. I have a lot of really good sessions this year. I can always convince my mom to help me. She makes goat milk soap and stuff like that. It's like body products. So, and she did that with us when we were kids. So I was like, you're gonna make melt and pour soap for the kids, because she did lip balms last year, which actually, this is a picture of her session. There's my lovely mother. I'm going to embarrass her.
Family affair, that's cool.
Well, and with what she does for work, she gets volunteer hours. So she's like, I will do this if that helps you. So I have her coming. I also have our dog project. They're going to do a little bit of a session on just like dog training, like a quick, like down and dirty, here's what you can do with your dog. I have a former volunteer who does livestock judging, so I'm going to do a what does a judge look for. I have a youth doing dairy fitting, so how to get your cow ready for the fair. I have a photography session, rock painting. Like I try to do a bunch of different kinds, because as you'll see in my report, I have this big fancy word called sparks. So in 4-H, our whole kind of premise is that we find things that kids might not have tried before, or find things that they're interested in and kind of create a spark. So we're trying to get them to go, oh, I've never tried photography. I really like photography. Let's try it. Oh, I actually really like this. Now I want to do more with photography. So it's kind of like the whole purpose is to create a chain reaction, essentially. And Clover College is a really great place to do that. So I'm super excited with how many kids I have involved so far, and there probably will be still more coming in by tomorrow. So I'm happy with that. The next big project that I've been working on, I think some of us might remember Farm Safety Day Camp. I know I attended as a youth, and I thought it was fantastic. Our office hasn't done it in a while, and I kind of took it on as something that I wanted to do, because everyone should know how to be safe in their own environment, and I figured it's already a canned program. All I have to do is just get certified in the content and then teach. So I'm actually going to be, once again, partnering with Independence for their summer school program, to have them bus the kids into Petrick's Park, so that I'm getting kids who might not normally be able to attend Safety Day Camp. We're not going to charge them, but then I'm going to have to help coordinate all the people to teach the sessions. So I'm hoping to get like the sheriff's department to come, maybe some firefighters. I'm actually going to be working with our emergency management coordinator, Bo Tibbetts. He's very interested in doing stuff like this, and I'm like, I already have a program, so I just need your help. So this one I'm really excited for. I contacted Whitehall and Arcadia schools. I want to try and make it a little small the first year, so that we can go through some of the hiccups of what it's like to bus kids in, get teachers, stuff like that. And then I'm hoping to, next summer, make sure that I can offer it to more schools. The hard part sometimes is getting a hold of the schools and getting them to agree to it. because I've called Arcadia and Whitehall and they haven't gotten back to me. Independence, I was talking about something else with them and they were like, oh yes, and we'll do this too. So it was a perfect fit.
I remember taking my son to that many years ago, because he's older now, but a couple of the things that I really liked was like the UTV safety, I believe they had in there, and that's such a big thing these days. That would be a really good idea. And then even though a lot of kids aren't on the farm anymore, there's still many that are. That tractor safety is a really, really good one too.
Oh, yeah. There's one specific lesson that I always think about when I'm on the tractor. We had to hide cones around the tractor, and then you sat in the seat and you had to see if you could find all of the cones. And I mean, if you're hiding under the tractor, you're by the wheels, or you're in the front by the blind spot, you can't see all of those. And so as a youth, I literally still think about that quite often when I'm driving something or when I'm going somewhere, when I'm on the tractor. So that's something we're going to bring that back. So, for sure. And I like that you said the UTV safety, because that was something I was planning on bringing anyway, but now that I have your permission, Dawn.
Have you talked to Pete Peterson in GET yet? Pete Peterson?
No, I have not.
He's very good.
What does he do?
He's a principal at middle
Oh,
school.
Okay.
I guess that would be one thing I would wonder. I mean, I get Petrick Park is closest to Arcadia and Independence and all of that, but wouldn't we want to reach out to all of the schools in the county?
So I was choosing those three because they're in the co-op, and so their summer school schedule lines up.
Oh, I see.
So that, it was a strategic piece. It wasn't just because they were close to Petrick's. If they have buses, they can bring the kids. But eventually, yes, the goal is to do.
But you want to start small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have 300 kids, not that there will be 300, but I don't want to have 300 kids there and realize I don't have enough of X, Y, and Z thing, or just see if it works out the way I'm thinking it'll work, and then we'll do more. So, but yes, I will add Pete Peterson to my list of people to contact next year. And then my upcoming programs that I have a biosecurity workshop that I'm working on for youth exhibitors for the fair, mainly because of the avian flu and how that is affecting now dairy cattle, and that a lot of times we just have, I mean, chickens are incubators for disease, and so I wanted to bring that to our youth's attention, but also a lot of our kids show their animals in multiple spaces before they come to the fair. So how can we make sure that we're not bringing in a disease that could affect the whole county fairgrounds? And this is just something that I'm very interested in, and I think that our kids could get something out of. What I'm also going to do, it ties in with the Farm Safety Day thing. They also have like an action zone, so like a smaller drop-in lesson piece for the county fair. So I'm going to bring that there too. Along with, I'm hoping to start up a youth ambassador group. And then what I didn't have on here, which I don't know why I didn't, Adam and I are working with the clerk's office to do a youth and government day here this is on the 24th. I got a lot. It is next Thursday.
It is next Thursday, I know. This month is going so quick.
I know. So we'll be asking you guys for help with this later. But this has been a big lift with us. We're hoping to get kids a little more connected with their local government and stuff like that. So I know Adam will talk a little bit more about it. I don't want to take all of the thunder, but we're working with the VFW, right? The VFW? No, the Legion. The Legion. Why did I think VFW? We're working with the Whitehall Legion, so they're bringing volunteers, and they're going to have some of them help walk our kids around throughout the building. But we're also going to have actually Melissa come back and do a voter demonstration. So we're going to show kids how to register to vote, but then we're also going to have them go through a mock vote through our machine, and then at the end of the day, we're going to take the machine apart and show them what their vote was. So we're going to connect them with that, but then also I'm going to do a parliamentary procedure lesson, just short, like here's how to make a motion, here's what the parts of the meeting are, so that kids who might not be in 4-H, when they do get this training, well, not this training specifically, but when they get that opportunity, they can learn a little bit more about how to run a meeting. And then also, Adam will do a session about how to talk to your representatives to make an impact, because then we're hoping that some of you guys will attend for lunch. Once again, we'll feed you. And then we're hoping that our youth will be able to talk to you guys about things that they would like to see happen in their community. Yeah. So, and we've also got a former youth and current FFA state officer, Jesse Thompson, will be coming to do a little speech for them during our lunchtime. to help talk about how to connect them with government, but then also how to just encourage them to be able to talk to their representatives. And then in the afternoon, we'll do a little bit of a round robin of department rotations. So we picked some departments where we're like, you probably have to interact with these departments at some point, or some of them are kind of cool. So like dispatch, land management, health and human services. I hoped the courts would be able to come, but they aren't. So we're gonna have a court commissioner come in and talk a little bit about like the legal process and how that looks for kids. And then I have a self-guided tour. It's called Goose Chase. I talked about it. I did it last year at the fair. I think some of you remember that. So we're gonna do that, but have them find specific departments in the courthouse. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be a good day. I hope you guys are able to come.
I should probably go on a Goose Chase. I don't even know where the departments are.
You can participate.
Especially the construction sometimes move into, whether it's permanent or temporary quarters, that throws it off more, so.
Yeah. But that,
Finance is in the Wisconsin room at 9, because we were up here.
Oh, our agenda said 9:30, that's why I was.
I believe it's 9:30 in the.
It is 9:30, 9:30 in the Wisconsin room. You're correct, I'm sorry.
It just got changed, and I'm sorry I'm not here for this, but I'm gonna keep moving well.
Balancing committees is hard, right?
Yeah, I think we'll be done by 9:30, but,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Right, so I don't know why
We're-
I couldn't meet
Maybe I should stay.
yeah,
We just did it to probably play it safe, you know, 'cause, yeah.
I'm gonna guess we're gonna be super close to each other.
And I'm gonna
but
Can you share items for him?
I emailed it to you just.
Thanks, appreciate the work.
I do. So if you don't have any other questions for me specifically, we'll move on to Adam. We're gonna download it so it goes onto the screen.
So it's up on the screen there. Maybe make it a little large, or you can see it. So again, youth education and family education. I'm currently 60% in the county, 40% state specialist kind of buyout. That will actually be ending in June, I believe it is. And so I'll be, what's it? Yeah. So I'm already working with the various institutes that I'm a part of to kind of increase my programming in the county. And I'll talk a little bit about that here. So the youth education side of things, been teaching and coordinating direct STEM education programs, lending those resources to the schools. There are many, many schools that have a really thriving after-school program, and a lot of them are using a lot of the sort of materials and programming and structure that I've kind of shown them over time. So like I'll bring something and I'll notice next year they'll have a club, an after-school club around that thing, and they've purchased some of the materials and used some of those lesson plans. So it's kind of that idea of like spreading the ideas out to make sure that more things thrive beyond just my direct educational programming impact. A lot of programming going on and planning for this summer for local libraries. Summer reading programs are always really big, and they've reached out to me year after year to kind of do some sort of educational programming based on the theme. 4-H events, other organizations. One big thing this spring that's happening is at the GET school district. Each elementary school has their own environmental day program, and so they've invited me kind of each year to do something. So I bring some sort of environmental programming to the youth there. And then I'm planning the 8th grade environmental day, which is an extension program where we bring youth down to the Trempealeau area. So that's they get a tour of the wildlife refuge. They hike Brady's Bluff, and they get a tour of the lock and dam. So a little bit of industry, a little bit of like local tourism, a little bit of like conservation work, and that's 8th graders from across the county. So we usually have 200 to 300 youth. You know, some of them it's the first time ever seeing Brady's Bluff or Pearl Park. It's hidden for a lot of kids, or they're from the northern-ish part of the county, but they see it, and then I hear back from them that they come back with their families later on. So I think that's super duper critical, especially the wildlife refuge. Like, there's not a lot of people who've like really gone out there and seen all the beautiful hiking trails and wildlife, and they've done a good job of kind of rebuilding over the years. So that's, you know, I encourage anyone to go there, but that's one thing that we do with the 8th graders. And then the other thing that's on here is we did, I think, was discussing that $350,000 Career Pathways in Agriscience grant. It was awarded to us. So we received it from NC State. However, USDA, NIFA at the federal level has put a pause on it. So it's not a cancellation. but we do not have guidance moving forward to implement the program.
Do you know how long it's on a pause for? Are they just reviewing it, or because sometimes they say it's a pause, but it's pretty much canceled. I hope that's not the case, but yeah.
We know exactly what we know right now. We can't really infer anything. There has been some notable like differences in communication about the grant at around that same time, which shows that maybe the communication between those groups are like vacancies or whatever are causing some difficulties
Okay,
there. So
because I was just saying if maybe you could reach out to your U.S. representative or senator if to maybe, maybe they can have some, clout or whatever.
yeah. And then the other thing is through some of the grants that we've been able to successfully complete or write for or support, including that independence grant that was talked about. So that was a series of listening sessions to gather data from the community that was then used for their application that was successful. We also received the folklore dance group grant to be able to purchase materials for that 4-H group that's doing really well. But Becky has asked me to help Jack with some of the Petrick Park grants kind of review, and then Bo for kind of supporting his work into grant writing, because that's not it sounds like that's not what his primary focus has been. And a lot of it is based off of kind of the bottom part of building capacity. So all of these groups that gather and communicate and collaborate, it can often be seen as like, just getting in a room and talking, but there's a lot of good kind of collaborations and partnerships that come from that. One of the most notable things is grants. So if you have on a grant something, comes across Health and Human Services desk and they say, you need 20 organizations that all agree that this is a priority. It's like, ugh, I'm not gonna do that, it's due in a week. But because we have a criminal justice coordinating council, because we have an alliance for youth, because we have resilient trauma-informed communities and all these different groups, you just one email, yep, that group approves it, and that group is 18 different organizations that are private, public, faith, not faith, anything and everything. So it's that sort of collaboration that is critical for us both getting funds and just communicating better and being a more connected kind of society within Trempealeau County, which is often pretty divided up. There's not a lot of reason for Ettrick and Osseo to hang out together, but on some of these things, it makes sense. So that's kind of my youth education. Any questions before I go into like the family and education? So in that, teaching reentry skills, stress management, parenting classes, those sort of things, whether it's in the jail or through a diversion program. One thing I do want to highlight is a few people that have kind of been directly affected by extension education programming. So a young mother and young mother to be kind of same person. So she has a small child and she's expecting, and she came in on a diversion program. And one of the tasks that she has is to meet with me to discuss kind of stress, financial management, parenting, kind of a catch-all of different things that I'm able to provide. And through some of the conversations with her, it very quickly found out that she is really, really close to getting her high school diploma. But a lot of the issues was because she was engaged with the justice system, she kind of felt kind of knocked down, and a lot of her kind of ability to kind of get back up and do it was kind of damaged in that. So we sat down, kind of coached her a little bit, and we sat there and we called that high school, and we figured out, setting an appointment to get her high school diploma after being, out of school for a couple of years. And then we also called Western Technical College and set her up with a consultation about how to become a CNA. And so there's just like all these just really critical things that sometimes all it takes is that one kind of small dosage with somebody who said, you can do it, and like, we're gonna sit down and do this together. And so I've got a call with her this next Wednesday to kind of talk through her progress about getting her high school diploma, getting a job, getting her education, getting her kids where they need to be. So that's just one example there. The other one, virtual programming. So I work with a team to do some virtual classes. Notable, one fellow who's on an oil rig, and he's going through a pretty difficult separation with his partner, and they have kids. And so like he's come to each month that we do stuff, and so I kind of say hello to him and kind of working through some of those skills, working through some of the stress, working through some of the, individual communications. And he'll stay afterwards, 10, 15 minutes, and we'll kind of talk through a specific issue that he's going through of teaching his children, helping his children thrive, being a better kind of co-parent and communicator. And so that's another really good example of somebody who's kind of coming back to extension and kind of seeing the value in it and being able to kind of pass that on to their family and their community. I've done a GED Head Start parenting program, and then all the capacity stuff we've talked about a little bit. One thing is May 13th, we are having just like an all coalitions gathering in the county. It'll be in the Badger Room downstairs from 2 to 4. I can send information out to all the bodies that I'm a part of, but it's like the best chance to collaborate with all the different organizations that have some vested interest in kind of more connected, resilient communities. So I'll share that information, but it's routinely all of the different partners within Trempealeau County. It's the best 2 hours of kind of networking and connection that can happen. The other one is Jail to Community Reentry Coalition. So just briefly, one other fella last Wednesday. So I've been working with him a lot in the jail about kind of building up his capacity, building up his thinking for a change, building up his kind of cognitive understanding of kind of where he's at, and the resiliency to continue from a pretty rough position. And he's like, yeah, I got money on my books. I'll be able to get out and get my my bus ticket to go back down to Texas, where he's from. And he gets out, and it turns out that the way the jail system, payment system works, all his money's gone because, you have to pay $5 to contact the nurse, and you have to pay this, and you have to pay that. And so he gets out, and he has nothing. And of course, at that point, he's in a pretty difficult mental state 'cause it's late in the afternoon, right? And it's pretty chilly, and he's got to figure out a way to get where he needs to go. But luckily, I was right there when he got out, and I was able to drive him. I gave him a backpack that we have through Extension that has a toiletry kit that's provided by Western Dairyland EOC. So he's got all of that stuff. We go and we purchase some snacks through funds that we have from local kind of faith groups in this area. We're able to go and purchase a phone using that same group. And he's able to get in touch with his brother. His brother buys him the ticket. He's able to email and text with me to make sure I can print off the bus ticket. And I drive him up to Eau Claire, and he's on his way to Texas, and he's going to, get where he needs to go, get the education he needs, and go back to being a productive member of society. So it's just those sort of examples of individual, direct, strong impact of Extension changing people's lives. So, and then the other thing is a perfect example of Extension is the Opioid Settlement Committee. So we implemented that countywide survey, got all of the input from key stakeholders and everyone around the county, and then Extension was able to compile that information, share it with the key stakeholders, with Becky, with that Opioid Settlement Committee, and they were able to make informed decisions about how to spend that money. So that's a perfect role of how Extension can and should function within a county. So providing the information to stakeholders to make their decisions. So that's what we've been working on.
Question for you, Adam.
Yeah.
Do you guys also work with Human Services then?
Oh, yeah.
So how did, when Legacy and stuff was working, do you guys work with Legacy at all when it comes
No.
to the kids and stuff?
No.
'Cause I think that was a kids deal, so I wasn't sure how all that worked.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Health and Human Services stuff is tied towards their ability to qualify or not for various programs. And so what we're trying to find specifically through the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, but other groups, is like what happens to that in between youth. So the youth that don't qualify for comprehensive community services and a lot of the great stuff there, but they're in that zone where like they certainly need help, but they haven't gotten to the point where they need help.
Okay.
So one of the main things that we had at our last Criminal Justice Coordinating Council meeting is I actually brought in, so the Health and Human Services, Betsy, who's the Juvenile Justice Coordinator there, and then we invited the badges folks as well, but we had a really good and robust conversation about where are the gaps with youth, specifically within the justice system, but kind of on that diversion track where there was an infraction, right? And then it goes to Betsy, but then we kind of talk through as a group what that process looks like and how we can improve that process between the DA, the judge. And a lot of the things that came out that we made as priorities to work on is having volunteer opportunities, having strong connections to the community for those youth and for those families, being able to kind of connect them with mentors, and kind of improving and increasing our focus on peer-to-peer, whether that's an adult or a youth, to kind of have an accountability buddy, have a mentor out there that's able to do things. And a lot of those things are within our control and can be done through Health and Human Services or a partner organization, but it will require a certain amount of focus and a certain amount of flexibility.
So with the education part of it, like Melissa was talking about the kids, I think it's a fantastic what you're doing about when it comes to how kids can vote and how all that works. Are we focused at all on how it can work for our adults so they can understand how the whole process works for our community, or that's not part of education or part of the extension?
And you're thinking specifically about government or just anything?
Government. So what she's talking about and how to teach the kids how it all works, how you make motions, how basically the government works for education for the people who might want to come into a position like ours, what they can do as adults to come here to do what they need to do. And I know you two are working together, and maybe I misunderstood that, but I wasn't sure if that could be part of the education or not. I mean, it'd be nice to have some kind of an education out there, and I don't know if it's through extension or not, to during that time of voting for, let's say, supervisors or for any kind of a agency, that we have that training out there for adults. Hey, look, come in here. This is why you need to be involved, let's say in Trempealeau County. This is how you can be involved, and this is the process of doing it. And I don't know if that had anything to do with when it comes to adults. I know our children are very important too, but for the most part. But when it comes to our adults, we control our kids when it
Yep.
comes to getting them to adults. So we also need our help. So I don't know if education's part of that, or is that another avenue?
So I could definitely see us potentially partnering with Melissa Kono to do some of that, because she's really hired now as the state local government coordinator. So I wrote this down because I think as we hire a new community development educator, that would kind of be in their wheelhouse of something we could potentially look to put a program on, either whether it be something that's recorded that they could watch, or doing some programming during election days, or inviting people here to the courthouse or something like that. So I wrote that down as, I think it's definitely something in Extension's wheelhouse. I think maybe that it's not Adam and Andrea's wheelhouse.
Right, okay.
Maybe it is, but I think that we definitely have the resources, and I'm going to put this down as one of the options for when we hire that new community development agent to potentially look into that and creating something like that. So yeah, great idea.
Yeah, I just
So-
think it's very important to
Yeah.
get these, even adults, to understand why you'd want to run for a position like this or any other position when it comes to our community. So-
Right, or even just understanding how does it work?
How does it
You
work?
know,
Yeah,
how
for
does
sure.
government, local government work?
I know previously Melissa had done some research with, she interviewed, I think it was all women who were on like local school boards, county boards, and other like town boards and stuff like that. Cause I was an intern in Sauk County at the time, so one of the other authors was in that office. And they did something like that where they really talked about like, how did you get involved? Why did you get involved? I could see something like what you're talking about, Andy, this being like a step before that, like how can you get involved? I could see our office doing something like that. I don't know how yet, but.
Well, and I even wonder about working with some of the technical schools, because a lot of those kids are local young people too, so there might be a place to at least engage an audience that's already there, or some of those beginning entry career level things where we could talk to some people who are, in some of those entry level type careers to let them know what's going on. So.
Yeah, to me, high school and college age kids are just big kids to me. They're still kids. They're just big ones.
I'll make it short, but to try to understand how even us as voters don't understand how to vote. That if you're on I can just give you an example for school board. School board, there's at-larges and whatever's on your ballot you can vote for. But there's people that come up and say, oh, I would have voted for you but you're not in my area. But I was on your ballot, so you can vote for me. People don't understand it. So they lost all these votes because they don't understand what's there. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand you don't have to vote. You can vote for one person. There's not enough out there for education when it comes to that. So when you mentioned all that stuff, it was just a very good thing to come forward when it comes to kids and also adults. It's just something we should look at.
But that concludes my portion.
I'm wondering I don't know if this is the appropriate committee or not, but I think I understand that there is still some more work with a position in law enforcement that has to do with you, Adam. Maybe not you personally, but I know you're involved in this. Can you tell us what's going on with that?
I'm not sure exactly where it's at for final approval, but my understanding is the opioid settlement committee used the survey that we put together to put forward, and I believe that they approved, but I don't know that for certain, at their last meeting to go for, and the exact title, I wasn't there at the meeting and the minutes haven't been approved, but they are moving forward with essentially a jail social work person that would be full-time within the jail, and they would support some of the programming in there as well. So they'd probably work alongside me and kind of help facilitate some of the conversations about bringing that person in. So I guess that's kind of where that sits. And then they also approved, in addition to that, $10,000 towards harm reduction efforts that will particularly go through kind of the health side of human services to provide various harm reduction efforts, and then $10,000 that's going to be put towards prevention dollars. And we're kind of looking into the various options that we have to make the best kind of youth and adult prevention for substance use.
So I'm assuming that's all the educator reports. All right, and what about position upgrades?
Yep, so updates. So position updates. I just wanted to
Updates.
let everybody know that last week, Thursday, we interviewed for the crops position. Started at least. We had 2, I feel, qualified applicants. And then we are interviewing again on Monday because our 3rd applicant was finishing her thesis and defending the day that we chose for interviews. So she couldn't make it. So we're going to interview her, our 3rd one, on Monday. From there, the committee will decide if we choose to bring her and another back, or bring people back, or if we'll just direct hire after kind of having our thought process put together there. So potentially at our June meeting, we could have another person here at the table, hopefully, to be able to help with our crops education. So that's on its way. And also yesterday, Andrea and I, along with Becky, was there too. A group of committee members met, and we went through the applications for the Community Development Institute individual that we're hiring. And so we will be doing Zoom interviews May 22nd, or April 22nd, so next week, Tuesday, with 5 potential candidates, with final interviews being May 5th. So I'll be sure to send that information to you guys. Again, if you potentially want to look at their presentations on May 5th, you'll have that opportunity. It will be in Neelsville just because their space was more available at that point in time. So we're going to do our final interviews in Neelsville with that committee. So if anybody has any questions, I could answer those. Otherwise, excitingly, we're getting new people, so. Yeah, we'll be done by 9:30 if they want to come in here, so you can let them know. Okay. Well, Becky had emailed me asking if they could meet in here because they wanted to use the TV, and I was like, yeah, I think we'll be done by 9:30. So we'll see maybe you'll come back up here, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll bring you back up, it's all good.
We got important things happening down there. I think we're gonna get the decision made that there'll be remodeling starting within 2 weeks.
Oh,
And we
exciting.
We've
The
gotta make
state.
a decision in that group and then bring it to the whole county board at 10 o'clock.
It's like yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
how everything got kind of
Yep,
confused.
makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and community garden.
So I just wanted to give you a heads up to let you know that we don't have an ag agent, we don't have a hort person anymore, so the community garden kind of somewhat-ish fell by the wayside. So I've been working with a local Arcadia man, Al Sukla, and so he is going to be our boots on the ground. I told him I would give him some free plots if he would just take over, and he said sure. So that works out for me. So right now he's working with the school and the community to get all those plots organized. Erica's been selling plots, so if you have people interested in gardening, we do have the community garden open in the Arcadia area, and we're selling the plots out of our office, so. Yep.
Curious about what the coordination is between this group and the health department within the county, because I know that they are really advocating the community garden concept and.
The first I've heard of this.
Okay.
So that's great. I can, go ahead, maybe Adam knows more.
Yeah, so I connected them with the Rural Unity Through Hope Interfaith Group, and they're going to be supporting, or they have been kind of communicating for Blair Community Garden.
Yeah, I understand there will be one there.
Yep.
But the Department of Health uses those community gardens, well, I don't know if they use them, but they advocate for them, and they do vouchers to the farmers markets. They give vouchers to a variety of people in Trempealeau County if they meet whatever qualifications there are. And then those vouchers are used at the farmers markets to purchase fresh produce, which in some cases are grown in the community garden. I just think it would be good to connect and see what each you guys are
Do you
doing.
have a contact then? Okay, I'll work with Adam and we can make sure that they know. And then that way too, if they have individuals, I think there'll be lots of garden plots left. So if they have individuals who would like to garden too, I think we can,
And are all the plots in Arcadia?
yes. The ones that, this is a garden that was established,
Right.
but before I even, knew that we were doing community garden, so a long time ago. And so I think, my goal is long-term to turn it over to someone in Arcadia to manage. I just think that Extension has been such a huge partner with it since its start, that it was, just to keep it going, this is kind of what we did to make it
Yeah,
happen. so.
and like Adam said, there is apparently a new plot, if you will, being
Right.
used for that purpose in Blair, and I think it's really kind of catching on, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's more of that in other locations too, that at least being aware of is a good idea.
Yeah,
Not
and I
we
hope
have to
that when we
manage
hire a
them.
new crops person too, that they'd be willing to play part of a role. I mean, obviously, it's not a horticulture educator, but I also think that they could play a role in how this goes forward and how Extension is engaged in it in the future. I just didn't want the ball to drop, so I've kind of been meeting with Al and talking with the ag teacher down in, Steve down in Arcadia, just to get things going so that we do have that presence down there this year, so.
Nice.
So if you hear people who want to garden, we have lots of plots available.
Okay.
Well, I guess how much are you selling them for?
They're $25 each, so, and
And
that's
how
for,
big?
20 by 20, so 400 square feet. Yeah, they're, and you can buy as many as you want. We have some families that buy 6, and some people that just buy 1, or they could probably even share. I mean, it's a pretty, yes, I went and looked at them. They're very decent size, so they could even share it if it was a smaller family who didn't want to garden a lot. They could definitely share it with someone else too. So.
Thank you.
And I think too, like, if there's a family that would need a voucher, I think we could work on helping them out too with that. The money literally goes to pay the water bill. That's why we collect the money, is we have to pay the city of Arcadia for water, and that's what it goes for, so.
Okay, number 7, set next meeting date. Did we already do that, or is there gonna be a meeting before that?
There'll be a meeting in June.
In June?
Yeah, my computer's going crazy, so I haven't been able to.
Mine a little bit too, what's going on, they're all,
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. It's usually the 3rd, so it'll be the 17th. I will not be in town that day, which is fine. I can join via Zoom, but and April will be here to give her report, so.
so June 17th, I'm assuming it'll be the same time, if that's okay with you guys. All right, the next meeting date will be June 17th at 8:30.
All right, see,
adjourn.
we were done by 9:30.
Yep,
We're all
thank you
good.
very much.
So we probably need a motion to adjourn.
I'll have a motion, okay.
You don't? Okay.